All right, it's 2:31 p.m. and Chair will entertain a motion to return back to our meeting.
Motion.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So I apologize. If you've not had a meeting in this room before, if you'll pull your mic down a little bit, and then there's a push button on there. Once it's green, you'll be able to speak. So if you could use that, please, we would greatly appreciate it. And then, of course, everything is old school.
But we're not voting up on the big screen. It's like
That's what she means by old
like
school.
the cool kids do. All right, where we left our meeting was item 12, and that is discussion, possible action to accept changes to leave benefits section to the handbook draft. That includes a lot of sections: military, bereavement, professional development, so on and so on. And these revisions are based on leave codes used in Tyler Time and attendance system. This is requested by Aaron of the County Clerk's Office. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. It looks like a lot of changes. Really what we're doing is changing this to reflect, like the item says, the leave codes that we do use already. So there's nothing content-wise that's not in practice or the current handbook. I know it's a lot though, so I'll give people some time to review.
And it is on the board. That board down there is hard to see, but it is behind you.
Can I say something? Yeah, I think Aaron did great. Kind of paring this down and getting something a little more usable. I was looking at Munis, and I think they've changed since the last time I looked, because I noticed that Aaron had this, what did I do with my document? The document that just has the whole list of items somewhere here. Well, good grief. This. It's on the deal. We can click on it. It's just got A through R of all of those codes, right? And I was comparing that to what we see if you pull these things up on Munis, which I've made some copies if y'all want to just take one and pass it down. And they're almost the same. There's slight difference. On D, where hers shows compensatory time for whatever reason in Munis, that is called standard comp time. I don't know if the word standard is important. I don't know if that matters at all. And then the only thing, the thing that's not on there is administrative leave. B and K are two different kinds of administrative leave on her list. I think those used to be on there. I think this Munis has changed in the last couple of weeks, because I know that some of those were different. And then Q is called vacation leave on her document. And that's what it used to be in Munis. I'm just positive it used to say that in Munis, but now it says annual leave. And so there's just these few little differences. I don't know which one's the most up to date. I don't know if your document's more up to date or what's currently on Munis. Since Munis seems to have changed recently, I'm thinking maybe that's the new whatever they want to use, but I certainly don't know that for sure. So I was just like, when I looked at all the, that you'd done to kind of pare that down, I was like, yay, this looks great. But I noticed you didn't put all of the categories there. So I was just curious, were you thinking that just some of them needed to be mentioned, but not all of these A through R things needed to be mentioned in under leave benefits.
Yeah, okay, so going back to the annual and vacation, one of the things I noticed actually going through the handbook is we use it interchangeably throughout everywhere.
Right.
In statute, it's called annual leave. In executive time, you're right, it was called vacation leave. We actually updated it to say annual leave. My recommendation would be to say annual leave across the board, just to avoid the interchangeable talking about the same thing. The other codes that we added recently in response to a state auditor finding, and this was actually discussed, I think in June at the handbook committee meeting, the public health emergency leave was added to give some clarification to the use of administrative leave. A lot of administrative leave was used for during COVID for quarantine purposes, and now we have a code that's specific to that to provide a little bit more information. The other code that we added was investigative administrative leave, and that is paid or unpaid and now in executive time or time and attendance. And that, again, is just to provide a little bit more information to an auditor or anybody reviewing a timesheet about the purpose of administrative leave. One final revision we made to clarify administrative leave use is requiring a comment. So you can't see administrative leave on your time and attendance system because you can't request it, but a supervisor would be able to put it in, and it would now require them to comment as to why they're using it. So administrative leave, I think, has been even more narrowed down to the reasons that somebody would actually need to use it because of these two new codes. And would require a comment to satisfy the auditor's office request of us. As far as codes that are not in here, was there something specific that you noted? I do know that later in the handbook, holiday, annual, and sick, and I would recommend them all being together, but just for the purpose of the way that the draft was set up, I think they should all be covered now in this section.
I do too. And that's what I was, that's what I was going to mention. The annual leave, the sick leave, and then holiday leave, which obviously we don't choose that. That's chosen for us. I don't think that was mentioned in yours. So I think those are the three you just said. So
Yes,
to me, it
that
makes sense
okay.
to cover them here as well. And I got to thinking as I was looking at this Munis listing, and you all may know, I have no idea why there's two different things, why one is called a time off request and the other section is called an hours request. I guess it's because the ones on top are usually for a whole day or more, and the ones at the bottom, maybe. But some of them, I'm like, no, these would be a full day too. So I don't know what's the difference. Do y'all know?
Yeah, the difference in those are, so your holiday, your emergency shutdown leave could be banked there. Those are going to be benefits that are banked. You would never bank these other types of leave. So like bereavement leave, for example, if you don't use 3 days, you're not going to bank 2 days. For disaster leave, if you come in for some, well, that's not a good example, but these are more codes that are not a paid benefit, like annual leave or sick leave. Those are going to be a paid benefit that you would bank. You would use your own. These are kind of supplemental to that. So I don't know why it's like that, but that is the difference.
That makes sense. But I was thinking as I was looking at these, only because in the previous section right before leave benefits, we've just been talking about this compensatory time off, that maybe since that's like the first thing listed under Munis and we've just been talking about it in the handbook, I was like, maybe we could just go in this order, list the items in the order that we see here in Munis. And because I think the annual leave, the sick leave, those are the two biggies that most people want to know about anyway. They're like, how much vacation time do I get? How much sick time do I get? And then everything else just, so I was thinking about order of things, and then like you said, the ones that weren't in this section already. But yeah, I think they're somewhere later in the book. But to me, it makes sense for them all to be together. But yay for how you condensed it down. That was so, so good.
Thank you.
So I have a question regarding item B, the two types of administrative leave, B and then K. They both say paid or unpaid leave. So how is that going to actually be tracked when you want it to be paid leave?
Yeah, so
Or how do you not track it when it's not paid leave? I mean, how can you differentiate getting tracking for it under one code if it could be either?
it's actually split to two. So in the system, it will show as paid investigative administrative leave, unpaid investigative administrative leave.
So you'll have a specific line item that will say paid or not paid.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So it's not like you have to couple it with another type of leave.
Correct. I do think administrative leave remains one code. So if you wanted to doc pay, you would need to use a doc pay code with that.
Like couple it with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our intention was in creating investigative administrative leave, that would probably be your most common use of unpaid administrative leave, and that has its own.
It has two.
Yes, it has
Okay.
two codes.
Okay.
And one will automatically do the doc pay.
Okay.
So is anything, oops, make sure my mic's on here. Anything that we need to amend? Leanne, were you asking for amendments? Are you satisfied with Aaron's response?
I don't know. I don't know if we need to amend. I was thinking as I was looking through it about just the order and then the few that weren't listed. So if that, do we have something? Okay. I will make a motion that we list leave benefits in the order that they appear in Munis, which is standard comp time, followed by annual leave, followed by sick leave, followed by holiday leave, and then in the lower section, military leave, bereavement leave, disaster leave, jury leave, election leave, professional development, absent without leave available, workers' compensation, FMLA paid, FMLA unpaid. Oh, I want to take that back. And public health emergency leave. Actually, the way it is in this document and what Aaron kind of worked through a lot as well as the FMLA. I think that's good for that to be the very last thing, simply because it's really big and it's very involved and, there's a lot to say about that. So I probably would go ahead and put public health emergency above FMLA and then let FMLA be kind of its own thing like it is right now.
What are your thoughts on using an alphabetical order?
I'm okay with alphabetical order. I was just thinking, like I said, just because we had just finished discussing this comp time in the previous section, I thought, well, I guess we could just put that as our first thing, but whatever order. I mean, it could be alphabetical. I don't have strong feelings. It was just a thought. But I do think the other, whatever the missing 2 or 3, however many, 3, I guess, probably I would also put that in my motion, that they be included in this section in whatever order we end up putting them in.
Yeah, I agree.
Alphabetical's fine with me.
I'm all about the alphabet.
It seems like it'd be easier to find rather than
True.
the biblical method, seek and you shall find. So.
Okay, so
So
I
do I
kind
wanna-
of got two conflicting motions there. So I've got one that you wanted to leave it the same with FMLA at the end, and then another one within that you wanted them to be in alphabetical order.
Okay. Can I just delete those motions and start over?
So you want to withdraw?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. I will make a motion that all of the items listed in Munis go into this leave benefits section to be placed in alphabetical order, except for FMLA. Put it at the end because it's kind of long and complicated.
And for clarity, FMLA is not paid. So
What she
for
said.
being its own section is a good idea.
A second.
Okay, any further discussion or additional? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Continue on.
Okay, I will move to accept the changes to the leave codes to match current practice, as laid out in the document submitted.
Second. So, real quick, tell me which section you're talking about on item 13.
I'm on item 12, and
Excuse me.
my motion is to accept the changes laid out in the handbook draft that I submitted, attached to item 12, to each of these benefits listed.
I'll second that.
Will that include, if we go by your thing that you submitted, that document too, would we just use what this says about the 3 missing, the holiday leave, the annual leave, the sick leave? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, just the wording that explains them, I guess is what I'm saying, since they're not really explained here.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think when we get to those items, because they're not included in this under this item, we can talk about the content of those items later.
Yeah, that's fine.
But still with your motion approved to include them in this section.
Right. Okay.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Correct?
By Ryan Jasper, is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I do
Thank
want
you.
to interrupt just to let you all know that if you do not speak into the mic, we cannot hear you online.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not used to being this close. It's been a while. So are we through with agenda item 12?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's move on to item 13, discussion possible action to remove the definitions in the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, section of the handbook draft and replace with the statement, Oklahoma County shall utilize the terms and definitions related to FMLA established by 29 United States Code, subsection 2611. Aaron, you have the floor.
Yes, unless the district attorney's office would have opposition to removing these definitions, I think it's 5 pages of definitions that I don't think employees, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of definitions. Another concern about having them in there is if they ever change in the code, we've got to go through, and if they change one word, that's pretty hard to identify and change in our handbook. So just recommending citing the code and directing people back for clarification.
No, normally, and I agree with you. The reason why this is in here is because, like I said, this is the ADCO policy, and we were trying to mirror, safety in numbers. The whole thing is, this is what all the other counties are doing. I agree that a link back to the actual code, that we make sure that we update every year the links, so it links to the most current version of the FMLA, is a good idea versus regurgitating the entire code definition here. The thing is that you're going to get with FMLA, the reason why I think the logic of doing it this way is you get so many questions from employees about it, that's why they regurgitated it all here. But yes, I don't have a problem as long as we're linking, giving them online or the ability to link back or the citation so they can go find the provisions that require. Now, I will say the only thing that gave me pause on your changes was the very, hold on, just let me get to the very first paragraph where it talks about employees must have how they qualify. Must have been employed for Oklahoma County more than 12 months over the past 7 years and have worked at least. I would like that language to stay in, simply because if you have people that have left employment come back, that 7-year language is important to know for qualification. I just, that's the only part that I would like to see still left in that first paragraph, the strike throughs on that first paragraph.
You okay with that amendment?
I am. I think that would be part of the discussion under item 14. Right now, I'm just talking about removing the definitions, and then we'll get back to that, and agreeable to that, yeah.
Okay. All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? And thank you, Madam District Attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion?
I apologize. There was not a motion made. She was just, she didn't say that she was motioning. She was just discussing.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm not gonna say.
Okay, so move to accept the changes, or removing the definitions and replacing with the statement listed in item 13.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second now?
I'll second it.
All right, any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I believe we're on to item 14, which is...
Can we go back for 1 second? I'm sorry. What's going to replace the definitions where you just said it?
Yeah, the language is in item 13.
Oh, I thought you were saying item 13 in this document.
Oh, no, sorry. It reads, Oklahoma County shall utilize the terms and definitions related to FMLA established by 29 U.S. Code, section 2611.
Thank you. Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, and for anyone watching or listening to this, our plan is to hyperlink pages as well as citations in U.S. Code or state statute, included in the handbook to make it easier to read and find this information. Let's go to item 14.
Okay, item 14, with the district attorney's recommendations on the changes to the first paragraph, just some cleanup. So this is for Family and Medical Leave Act, starting on page 21. And it runs through page 34.
On page 32, in the green where it's the ad that says Oklahoma County will also require both periodic reports during the leave of an employee's status and his or her projected date of return of work and a written release from his or her position to return to work. Let me research that and make sure, because once there are certain restrictions that FMLA requires you to not ask certain things. You can actually violate their FMLA if you harass them too much while they're off on FMLA, and there's only certain types of periods for certification. So let's put a pin in that particular language and let me research that.
Sure. Yeah, we can. Just
to make sure that it's I don't have obviously a problem. I understand why you would want that in there. Just let me make sure that it's
okay. I actually didn't add it. I copied and pasted it from
somebody
end
else's.
of page 33.
Okay.
I think it came from the ACO, but happy to allow you time to
let me look at it, because the way it's reading on to me now, it's making me worry that we can actually get in trouble if we call somebody up on FMLA and say, what's your updated status when you're returning to work? We can't be calling them every week. If they've elected 12 weeks, you know, yes, they are required to update us on status, but we can't, I just want to make sure that we don't unintentionally do something here. Let me check that language out. That's the only language that right now that I'm having pause.
Okay, should we take this item up at a later meeting date to allow the district attorney's office time to review the full section? Okay, I'll make a motion to defer the item to the next meeting.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, any other discussion? All right, we're going to vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to defer this to our next meeting. Thank you. Look at us moving on. Item 15. This is discussion, possible action to accept changes to the leave sharing policy section of the handbook draft. Aaron.
Okay, here I'm adding language from the current handbook. In the current handbook, a requirement for receiving shared leave is to have an FMLA qualifying event. That was not in this, so just copying and pasting that. Same thing with the recommendation to maintain a minimum balance for employees. That's language from the current handbook. Lastly, just translating the number of days into hours for those who may not work 8-hour shifts. So capping out shared leave at a number of hours rather than a number of days. So I'll move to accept the changes in that section.
Second. Okay, tell us what page that's on, please.
Page 34.
Okay, thank you.
So just quick question. So then is this saying that one is not qualified to receive shared leave unless they are on FMLA?
Yes. And that's what the current practice is from my understanding.
There was a second for you? Okay. Is there other discussion? No one? All right, let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16. This is discussion possible action regarding the addition of a new section. Let's add pages. I'm kidding. Titled Camera Recording Devices Policy Establishing Rules. Prohibiting employees from taking photographs, recording video, or recording audio in the workplace, including hidden or concealed cameras and devices not readily identifiable as recording equipment. Ryan, this is yours.
Yes, sir. I put this on the agenda in anticipation of a DA response. I did get that response. So with that said, I'm going to move to strike the item.
Okay. Is there a second to strike?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I had a similar DA question a few weeks ago. It didn't work out. Item 17, discussion possible action regarding a new draft of the Elkhorn County Employee Handbook, including potential revisions or changes. This one we can, that's what we're working on. So I think for the clerks of the board, Sharon, we'll keep this on, but we'll have an updated version to pass on. Item 18. Discussion possible action regarding the Oklahoma County Employee Handbook, providing clear rules regarding holiday leave for 28-day cycle employees as recommended by the Oklahoma State Auditor and Inspector during the audit of FY 22-23 ACPR. This was an item I think we cleared up. Did we not? I think.
Sorry, I thought we had resolved this a couple meetings
I
back.
do too.
And
Yeah,
it was kind of a proceed as.
yeah. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to strike.
Motion to strike.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's it. And I want to thank everyone. I think there's something in the handbook about, and I'm just bringing this up as a comment from the chairman's office. There's something in the handbook about when employees are terminated, we need to clear up. So there's a few more items. It was written in the draft that they forfeit, basically, if they're terminated, they forfeit vacation leave. Is that correct, Joe? Yep, that's my recollection. So we've got a little bit more work to do. But what we'll do is we'll get a new draft, and we've got some housekeeping to do in that, okay? The current county policy is if you're terminated and you have vacation time, if I got fired today, I get my vacation. Yeah, that's been the policy for a long, long time. So I believe the ACO handbook didn't have it listed that way. But, we'll get that. We'll look at that and other things in the handbook. Go ahead, Joe. We can do citizens' participation. See if you can turn that mic on for us. Okay.
I'll scream.
There you go.
The state leave accrual limits changed. I believe it was last session, where it used to be capped at 480 for employees over 20 years. They can now accrue up to, I believe it's 640 hours. I noticed in one of the drafts that I saw, and perhaps I didn't have the right draft, the amount of leave they earn each year had changed. It was 16.67. I noticed in the draft that I saw, we had done the 16.67, but we kept the 480. I'd ask you to take a look at that as well.
Noted.
And then one other thing, I may have been confused, but I thought I saw some contradictory language on sick leave and sick leave accruals.
Yeah.
Did you address that?
No, that's another thing.
Okay.
We need to take a look at. My understanding is it's been unlimited.
Right, and then there was a 1040 number in there. There had been, and then it's currently unlimited. And if I remember, I'm not sure what's precipitating that change, because employees don't get paid at separation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Why that would be, unless there was a state law change that. But I don't know why that would be an issue. Just take a look at the contradiction.
In the ACO handbook that we've been working from, it looks like it did say 1040 for an accumulation limit, but then I think you added the current handbook has no limit. So the note is in there, but we just haven't gotten to that page yet.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I just,
when I gave this, I gave the ACO version to them to let them do with it what they were, and so like all these changes that are being recommended, that is great because we're going off of the base of what ACO did. I did very little changes to the ACO policy to let you guys do the changes.
Sure.
So-
yeah, I just had noticed some inconsistencies, so I thought it sounded like you might be getting close to wrapping up, and I want to make sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you, everyone, especially clerks of the board, Sharon and Cassie. You guys have been great. This group that we have here, including you, Ron, I mean, even though you've only been to 2 meetings,
Thank you.
we appreciate your efforts and can't say enough about the wordsmiths in this group and the respect that each of us have for each other that's vastly important. So that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion carries.